Well, Sláinte and howdy do buckaroos. How the heck are you? I'm starting a new series. Right now I have four of these whiskeys, but I'm going to work on getting more because it is a category that I am intrigued by. The American single malt whiskey, starting with Yellowstone from Limestone Branch, American single malt whiskey at 108 proof out of Lebanon, Kentucky. Like any member of our family, Yellowstone American single malt stems from previously established roots. Nearly everything we've perfected across 7 generations of distilling presents itself in this bottle made from 100% malted barley and perfectly aged in new charred American oak barrels. This smooth yet complex whiskey rounds the palate with notes of honey, dates, and spiced pear with strong oak and cinnamon finish, much like the park for which it's named. This whiskey is uniquely American icon, one worthy of revisiting. American single malt. Let me show you this bottle again. So I've got it poured neat. I've got 2 ounces neat here. I'm going to set off to the side. As I also have 2 ounces on the rocks, kind of going old school for this. Back in the old Mad Men days, they'd always seem to drink on the rocks. So we're gonna have a couple ounces on the rocks, and we're gonna go purists and drink a couple ounces neat. Yeah, right now I have this one that I'm drinking with you now. I have the Union Horse Rivalist. I have the Gully Town. I finished another guy. I should have started this series while I had the other Gully Town, but I've got one Gully Town American single malt. And then I have a switchgrass American single malt. See, I wish I'd have thought of doing this series while I still had the other one. But anyways, nevertheless, we're going to persevere. A big, bold whiskey that certainly isn't going to be hurt by the rocks. Here I've got one cube in there, as you can see. They tell you to look for notes, and you're probably going to find more of these notes when you drink it neat. It's going to come off a little different on the rocks because you're reacting to it different. You're drinking it on the rocks for a different reason. Notes of honey, dates, spiced pear, and strong oak. Spiced pear, that's an interesting. Usually it's honey and dates. I'm not surprised by, but they usually tell you to look for dark fruits, dates, sometimes fig, raisin, or even dark cherry or stone fruit. Spiced pear is a little bit different, but this is a different animal. This one doesn't say. I guess that's all it tells me there. Anyways, seventh generation family distillers. Steve Beam. Anyway, Sláinte. So again, I do expect to feel these notes different once I attack the knee. But I tell you what I'm getting here. I do get a lot of that oak in the finish. They tell you cinnamon. Yeah, you do feel a lot of that right at the end too. Dates. Yeah, why not? Certainly feeling the honey in a great big way. Spiced pear. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's one you kind of got to search for. But yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with those flavors, I don't see why you're not going to find them. Yeah, it is more subtle than I expected. And you might find that the usual, even though this is American single malt whiskey and not a bourbon, the barrel's going to give you certain notes that you may be familiar with. It's certainly not going to be unusual to find a certain amount of vanilla in here. You might even, with new charred oak, certainly not going to be unusual to find some toffee notes as well. But it's because of the mash, or because we're dealing with malted barley. Yeah, it's not going to be quite as sweet as a bourbon mash. It's a little chewier, and I guess maybe that's why I love this category, because I've talked to a friend of mine who's uh, a bit of a bourbon aficionado in these parts, and we've talked about it, and he's just not crazy about the American single malt category. But I got to tell you, I love it. I mean, I've enjoyed almost every one I've had. I've liked some better than others, but I love it, especially that how these small distilleries or smaller distillers are willing to really explore this category. Then again, I'm one of those guys that's not as much into those names as others are. You mentioned cinnamon, and I'm gonna say yeah, but I think there's other things going on here too. Picking up some clove, kind of feeling a lot of allspice, very similar to cinnamon, but comes at you in a slightly different way. This whiskey is absolutely gorgeous, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't, when he was telling me how he hasn't found one he liked, and of course I didn't ask him specifically which ones he tried if we're talking about the same whiskeys, but I don't know how you cannot love these whiskeys. Then again, you've got folks that really love the whiskey, that enjoy the whiskey, and then you've got folks that are only in it for the secondary market. And I think that their motives might be questionable when they talk about specific whiskeys and they don't like certain whiskeys. I think their motives might be questionable if they have an interest in secondary markets. Let's just say. And I'm not a fan because I'm not a fan of inflating prices on products that aren't worth that. If you're charging X amount for whiskey, is only worth this. You're charging it because some idiot's going to pay it. I don't know. I mean, for me, that's questionable morality. That's no different than ticket scalping. It's exactly what it is. It's ticket scalping for whiskey. I mean, it's the same. I don't know. I just can't make it make sense. I don't know why anybody would pay 50, 75, $100 for a 25, $30 whiskey. It just doesn't make sense. But some people are into whiskey more for the status, more for the love of the product. And for me, it's all about the love of the product. That's why I love this category, because everyone that I've had, this limestone branch, the three different ones from Restless Spirits, the three different Gullytown products I've had from Restless Spirits, Switchgrass, Union Horse, all of them are distinctively different, even though we're talking about aging malted barley. And it just amazes me how much different all of these products are. I love the chewiness of the product. I like the complexity. I love that they're not as sweet as their bourbon counterparts. I wanted to get through that because I didn't want too much water to get in there. I want just the right amount. Now I'm really curious how much different having this product neat is going to be. Look at that color. That is just gorgeous. Now, again, I want to go over what they tell you to look for. Now that I have it neat in my hand, honey, dates, and spice pair with strong oak. I was getting a lot of strong oak on the rocks, to be honest with you. That I really enjoyed. strong oak, and cinnamon finish. So being able to get that much oak on the rocks, yeah, I'm not going to be surprised. It's going to be very strong here with a couple ounces neat. A lot of what you get, what you think you interpret the aromas, the smells. Spiced pear isn't in here, so uh, it's all about interpretation, right? So I've always told folks, so you're only going to taste what or smell what you know of. You don't eat certain. If you don't eat dates, for instance, you're not going to taste dates. And they say spiced pear, which I actually can feel here, but but what my brain is telling me is, as a kid, we used to get these. I don't even know if they still make them. To be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I saw them in a store. But we used to have them. I don't know, maybe once a week when I was a kid. Was those spiced apple rings, and that's the aroma that I'm picking up. That's the sensory that's oh, spiced apple. This ain't spiced pear, but up here I'm thinking spiced apple rings. Oh gosh, that is just gorgeous. 108 proof, 108 proof. If you wish to break it down, have it on the rocks, add a little water to it. That's certainly fine. But I will tell you, it is remarkably approachable at this proof. I mean, I'm going to take a drink, and you're not going to see any grimace at all here. And I will tell you one thing I love about this category, one thing I love about this particular American single malt whiskey, aromas, flavors aside, is that viscosity, that mouthfeel. It just feels luxurious. You got that velvety smooth. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Oh man. Because we've all had whiskeys that were unpleasant to drink, right? Maybe too thin, maybe even too thick, but this is the Goldilocks. It's just right, man. Gosh, that's gorgeous. So the honey, definitely the honey. The spiced pear, yeah, absolutely. But I'm telling you, yeah, again, I'm picking it up as those spiced apple ring notes that I used to have as a kid. But yeah, they mentioned dates. Sure, you might even again, if you don't eat dates, you're not going to feel them. So you might interpret it as raisin. You might even interpret it as a very overripe plum note or dark cherry, even. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's picking up some apricot like. Just feel a little nutty as well, almost like a toasted hazelnut note in there as well. And that's part of that strong oak that they mentioned, and you do feel that a lot in the finish. Cinnamon, yes, I'm going to say yes to cinnamon, but I'm also going to say allspice. I'm going to say ginger too, because you get that hint of fresh grated ginger, right, where you get that spice, but that citrus like note that fresh ginger can impart. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody picks up clove and or nutmeg in there as well. Ah, it's absolutely gorgeous, man. This whiskey is so good. Hadn't had it I'm down to about half, a little under half a bottle now, as you can see there. Uh, but wow, I haven't put it under this kind of microscope before. It is just exquisite. And I've got this gully town here, but I didn't think of doing this series earlier because I had its counterpart. This is the straight single American malt whiskey, and they have another one. This one is 5 years old, aged in new charred oak, much like a bourbon is. Well, the other one is aged in spent bourbon barrels, much like you would age an Irish whiskey, so it has much the color and the flavor of an Irish whiskey. Then I also have a brand new bottle of the Rivalist. I bought 2 bottles back in August, and I finished one, but I've got one I haven't opened yet. And that Rivalist from Union Horse is insanely delicious. But I'm curious, and that's why I wanted to do, kind of a series on what I have and then look at buying more. Because I do love the category. I do love the malted barley. I love the chewiness, the flavor profile, the limited sweetness, let's say. And how much different it is from its Scotch, Irish, and even Japanese counterparts. And quite frankly, for me, how much more flavorful it is and how much more bold it is than its counterparts. And Scotch has as is known for being very distinct with those peat notes, but man, these American single malt whiskeys are every bit as bold, and in some cases even more so. It's absolutely gorgeous, man. So, anyways, Tom, you're starting trouble. Yeah, I don't mean to, and I am a bit of a rah-rah for American products. Um, it just baffles me how some people will say buy American, but then not buy American whiskey. Come on, man. The American single malt whiskeys are a force to be reckoned with, in my opinion. So there you go. Especially this one. I'm going to show you this bottle one more time. The Yellowstone from Limestone brands. This stuff is just absolutely brilliant. Uh, Man, is it one that I would drink much on the rocks? Well, the truth is no. But I wanted to do this particular video again, kind of, going from the '60s to now, right, where everybody had to put whiskey on ice. Because there are some whiskeys that kind of thrive on ice, but again, I think the trick is not to use too much ice. That's why I do like the big cube where you've got limited meltage going on. Is that a word? Meltage? Melt off? I don't know. Meltage, limited meltage. We're just gonna make shit up here. Anyways, I digress. Wow, this stuff is gorgeous. I didn't realize I grabbed my Jim Beam neat glass here. The Glencairn, should you always put neat in the Glencairn? Well, that's really up to you. To be honest with you, there's a reason why classics, where you look at classic TV shows, even you walk into, if you were a youngster like I was, walking into offices in the late 60s and 70s, you would see glasses like this. I don't know that you need a Glencairn. There are certain whiskeys that might really improve the nose. But I really love the classic neat whiskey glass like this. So, anyways, and again, as I finish this up, I can't express enough that it's not just about the flavors. It's not just about the aromas. It's the viscosity, right? That mouthfeel, how exquisite this particular whiskey drinks. Oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Anyways, bring it back a notch, Tom. Don't fanboy out on us. I paid for this bottle. I'm not getting any products in exchange for this. This is not a commercial. This is just honest. This is just a beautifully done product, and I love this category. I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all right, good guys. Sláinte. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it.